It looks like an upside down person. Not the
Yeah, legs with a willy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
So they're buried in the ground.
Huh?
They're buried in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like somebody on there standing.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? That's what it looks like.
Hello, this is Sophie Lawson from sophielawson.com, and this is episode 112 of the Sophie Art Podcast, which is a little podcast that I do about the art and things. And this is the final website development diary episode for the month of May. Next week's will be a about the things episode, which I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about yet. I've got an idea, but we shall see. So what I'm doing on these little videos is I'm just talking about, for the month of May, I've been working on my website at sophielawson.com and what I've been doing is just taking notes as I've been going through the process of sorting out the website, and I thought I'd talk about it. I've got so many notes for this one that what I've done is I've decided to just put 3 little bullet points. I'm going to talk about those, and that'll be the end of that. That'll be the end of that, I think. So little Dennis is with us today, and actually little Dennis has now got a page on the website. So if you go into my art section, there's a little page with characters on it. Got little Sophie on there and little Dennis. So at the minute, little Dennis, I've drawn little Dennis for the Draw Day challenge, which is draw every day for a year. I've drawn some little quick drawings of little Dennis, but my goal is to turn little Dennis into a proper character, and I'm actually going to turn all my little puppets, like Peter the Penguin and stuff, I'm going to turn them all into little characters, create like a little family. I think it's going to be quite fun, that. But little Dennis has said, let's get into this one, because he wants these to be quick and cheerful, he said. Quick and cheerful. So little Dennis is in his little house. He likes sitting in his house. Also, I came up with a really fun idea this morning. While I was at work, I wrote it down on a paper towel. And what I'm thinking is, because on my website I've got all these inspirational artists, it's just a page full of their artwork and little links to their websites and stuff, and a little bit about what I think about their art. But I was thinking, because one of the goals for this podcast is to start interviewing guests on the podcast, but I'm a little bit scared to do it at the minute. So I thought, well, why don't I start by trying to interview guests via like email with texts. So what I thought is I could reach out to these inspirational artists, see if they would be willing to do a little interview via the email. I'll ask them questions, and then I can turn that into the little newsletter. So each month I'd have the little newsletter would become like a little interview with these inspirational artists, which I think would be quite fun. So I came up with that this morning. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look into that. I thought it'd be quite fun. And the reason I thought about it is because next week I'm going to start working on the inspirational section of the website. So this week's goal, the goal was to actually finish the My Art section, which I thought I would have done by Sunday, but I only just finished it yesterday, which was Thursday. So I think the takeaway from this week is getting balance. Well, the main takeaway really is that sometimes you've got to do things wrong to find the right way to do them. Sometimes you have to go wrong to find the right way. So what happened was I did a lot of things in that first couple of weeks without knowing what I was doing, really, because I've changed the themes on my website, and this theme has got some quite powerful options, I suppose, and I didn't realise. So one of them is you've got these global colours, which means you can change the colour. If you assign something on any of the pages a colour, if you assign it a global colour, you can have all your pages have colour, And then if you ever thought to yourself, I want to change that colour, I don't like that colour, you can change one colour on the website and all of them will change. And what's even more powerful is you can do it with stuff like buttons and stuff. So you can have a button which says, the text on it says view more artwork or something. But let's say in the future you think, I don't want it to say that, I want it to say go to the artwork section or something. Again, you change that button text once, it will change all of the pages which have got that button on it. So for the first 2 weeks, I had edited all these realistic drawing pages, but I had made the buttons all separate. Whereas now, what I ended up doing was I ended up going back through all of the pages I'd already edited, assigning them these global colours with global objects, and it was a much quicker process than, I think I did all of them yesterday. So I did 40 pages in one day. So this is why it's quite, what I love about this is, I've put here, I've lost a week. I feel like this past week I was going back through what I'd already done and iterating it, making it a bit better. But the thing is, I've lost a week, so I'm a week behind schedule, but I'm going to gain months down the line, because what I'm going to do now is, everything I do moving forward is going to have these global buttons and stuff. So what it means is, it's not just that you can change the values quickly or once you've created that button, it's almost like saved in like a, let's pretend it's saved in like a little cupboard. You've got a cupboard of all these buttons. So when you make a new website, when you make a new page, you can just open the cupboard, get that button and plop it straight into your page. Whereas before, what you had to do was, you had to go onto your page, you had to open up the other page, have them side by side, and I would click on one of the buttons. If I wanted that exact same button on this page, I'd have to spend a minute or so recreating the button. But now all I've got to do is just click one button, and the button is in the page. So I can already see, like, moving forward, it's going to be so much quicker to edit things now. And also, if I ever want to change something, it's going to be really easy to change stuff. So at first I was a bit like, I can't believe I didn't realise this. But it's one of those things that you don't realise it unless you know, really. So what I thought to myself was, I should have spent a little bit of time playing around with the theme to start with. Instead of just jumping in and expecting the theme to be the same as the other theme, I should have played around with it and found what it's capable of, really. So it's kind of, I suppose it is my fault in a way, because I rushed. This is quite good. One of my little affirmations is, when you rush, you delay. So I feel like I did actually rush. I rushed into working on the website before. I should have taken a day. I think I should have taken a day playing around with the theme, watching YouTube videos, because there's a YouTube video. Who is it? I think he's called WordPress for non-techies or something. I'll put a link in the show notes at sophielawson.com. I was watching his video, and I was thinking, I thought to myself, I've got to spend 30 minutes watching this video, and I thought, shall I just go straight into editing the page? And I'm glad I listened, because something inside said, watch this video. It might delay you for 30 minutes, but it's going to be worth it. And as I was watching it, he started talking about these global objects, which are called reusable blocks, and these global colours. And as soon as he was talking about it, it's almost like my mind, it's like a game changer. In that moment, I knew I had to go back and redo everything. But the good thing is, it didn't take that long, because, like I said, I was only really changing. I wasn't so much changing what I had done. I was just replacing what I had done with this new way of doing it. So it was quite easy, which is cool. But my little takeaways I've got is, getting balance of colour is tricky. Sometimes you have to go wrong to find the right way. And I've put lost a week but gained months later. And then I've put here problem solving. It's all about trying to find the right thing for the job. I've actually wrote, no, I put the right thing, but so again, what I'm thinking is, I was using like a button to do something, and then I realised there's another thing that's actually better. So again, I feel like before you start designing your website, you've got to sort of play around with your options, because what happens is, the more you play around with these things, your mind starts working out ways to do things, which is quite cool. So on the top of each page is a little title, but because my website has got 3 main sections really, which is inspiration, transgender stuff, and spiritual stuff. I kind of put that in the transitioning bit, and then art. Those 3 things is 3 different colours. So I wanted the page to have colour, so that you could tell which section you was in, but I didn't want so much colour. I wanted the colour to be I wanted it to be a little bit, so that it was more special really. So what I ended up doing was, at first I had the colour be loads of colour, and then I just thought to myself, I've put way too much colour in here. So what I did, when I redid all the pages, I've taken a lot of the colour out, and it just looks so much better now, because the bits where there is colour, it kind of pops a lot more, whereas before I feel like there was a bit too much colour, so it was starting to get a bit chaotic and lost. So there's only a little bit of colour, but it looks quite nice, I think. So, but it was quite hard to work that out, because I had to almost go into having too much colour, and I had to push it right to the edge of where there was too much colour, and then bring it back. So it's kind of about trying to find the balance between how much colour to have. But that was quite a fun little experiment really. And the good thing is, because I had to go back and redo all these pages with these new global objects, it allowed me to actually go and change the colours as well. So it kind of worked out quite well in a way, I think. And I'm going to look at it, that first week when I dived in and started editing everything, I'm going to look at that as the week when I was actually playing, and I didn't realise it, which I think is quite cool. I've also put here, so I've completely sorted all of my art. What I've also done is, there was loads of pages on the website which I don't want anymore, but I went onto Google and I was typing in stuff, and these pages were actually appearing on the Google search. So what I did was, I've deleted all those pages, but I've set up these little redirects, so now hopefully all those links will go to the right place. So this is going to be really good in the future, because what's going to happen is, I'm going to have less pages, but I'm going to have sort of more content on each page, but less pages. But I'm going to probably have the same amount of content, because I'm going to start squeezing the content down. So again, I want less text. That's been a bit of a challenge as well, is trying to get the balance between how much text to have, because I don't really like too much text anymore. I kind of want the images and the drawings to do the talking. So again, it's all about getting the balance between all the bits of the page really. And you do have to basically do a lot of iterating, I think. You sort of have to play around with, I feel like what you've got to do is, you've just got to do it and then see what it looks like, and then come back and keep doing it until you look at it and think, I like that. But the thing is, and this is something that I've noticed last week, especially this past week, is the website looks completely different when you go onto a mobile. So on the computer, you're doing it on the computer, and the computer can mimic the mobile. So you can look at it on the computer and you'll sort of see what it looks like on the mobile. But it's not until you go onto the mobile device and actually look at the website that you really see what it looks like. And it always looks a bit different to what the computer thinks it's going to look like. So again, sometimes I'll have created a page and think, that looks really nice, I like that. When I go onto the mobile, it doesn't work. One of those things was, I had the titles, I had the bit of colour going around the title. As soon as I put it onto the mobile, it messed up the design. So again, this week has really all been about iterating. It's been all about iterating, which I think is it's just, I suppose it is a big part of the website, really, of website development. It's all about iterating. So you're constantly making mistakes, I suppose. It's quite weird that you're constantly making mistakes, but you're constantly changing them. But in a weird way, those mistakes are good, because it's almost like you need to make all these mistakes to get to the place where it's going to be right. Because I don't feel like there's any way you could get straight to the right place. You do have to keep doing it wrong until you get to the right place. So I feel like that. But the really amazing thing is, moving forward, everything is going to be just copying what I've already done. So it's almost like, moving forward, it's going to be so much quicker to do things, because every other page on the website is going to be using the design that I've already created. So I'm quite excited moving forward, I suppose. And the really good thing is, the inspirational section is blue. So this past 3 weeks, I've been really just looking at pinks. And I feel like looking at blues is going to be quite a nice change of colour, I suppose. It's a bit weird, that. But that's basically that. And I also played around with my logo. What I did was I got my little iPad out. I was just about to go to bed, and I was watching a Procreate video. He's talking about his favourite brushes on Procreate. So I got my little iPad out with my pen, and I just played around with these brushes that he was talking about, and I created this really quite nice looking heart shape. So what I did was, this is amazing, I didn't really realise you could do this. On Photoshop, on the iPad Pro, you can create a little image on your iPad, and the Photoshop saves it. So when you go onto your computer, that little thing you created on the iPad is already on your computer, which I think is amazing. Like, again, I'm thinking about the future. I'm going to do my little gesture drawings on the iPad, because it's very easy to just pick that up and play around with it. You can almost like sit on your bed and just sketch away. It feels very much like working in a sketchbook on the iPad. So what you do is you capture your really nice your essence of your drawing on the iPad, on your Photoshop on the iPad. You then go onto your computer, that little gesture's on the computer already. You then use that and you base your drawing off of that little gesture. So then you can start putting the details in on the big computer. So I feel like that's quite... I got really excited about that, because I thought, I'm going to really enjoy this. Because working on the iPad, some reason that it doesn't, I suppose, make me feel... It doesn't make my eyes hurt as much as the computer. So when I'm on a computer, this past week, I think it was Sunday, I was on it for about 8 hours working on the website. When I come off, my head was sort of throbbing, and it took me about an hour to get myself back. But like on the iPad, I don't feel like it does that. It might be the screen protector or something. But I did play around with the logo, and what I did was I put that onto computer, and then again, on the computer, I'm much better at using Photoshop on the computer, so I was able to really go into that little heart I'd created and play around with it. So what I did was I put the 3 colours on that heart, and then I just made a little pretend logo. I've already put it on the website. I think it looks quite nice. So what I'm going to do is I might just keep that. I might change it a little bit, but that little heart, I'm going to start putting that heart onto my videos and stuff. So I quite like that. I thought it was quite cool. So I wasn't supposed to play around with the logo. I was supposed to do that later. But again, I'm really quite glad that I did play around with it, because it only took me about an hour. I think it was about an hour to do that. It's quite cool. But one thing I did think was, I've got my colours on there. I feel like there's part of me that wants to make my pink. I've got a pink, a lilac and a blue. There's part of me that wants to create more of a vibrant pink and more of a dark, vibrant lilac. Because I know it's a bit weird. At work, I'm a cleaner. When I was down the drinks aisle, I think it was yesterday, there was a Lucozade bottle, and it's a pink and purple bottle, but those colours they go so nicely together. And I thought to myself, I want those colours on my website, and it's much more of a hot pink, and much more of it's a much darker purple, very sexy. So I was thinking, should I do that on my website? And again, because I'm now using these global items, let's say next week I decide I'm going to change the colours. All I've got to do is change the colours. It'll take 5 seconds to change the values, and the entire website is going to change colour, which I think is amazing. The only thing I would have to do is redo all my thumbnails, but I don't mind doing that. It would take a long time, but I wouldn't mind doing that. But so I'm probably going to change the colours as well, because I feel like I want more funky colours. Because again, because I'm using less colours now, I feel like you can have more vibrant colours. Whereas the old website, it was so much colour on it. If you had a really hot pink on that website, I feel like that would have hurt your eyes, because the whole page would have just been hot pink. Whereas now, if I make it hot pink, I would say 90% of the page is white, so that hot pink is going to pop even more. So again, I feel like this new design allows me to have more bright colours. It's quite weird how everything is linked together, I suppose. But that's basically it, really. I've also put little breadcrumbs in, which is this thing where each page, you know which section you're in. So if you're on a drawing, you've got little links to go back to each section. And again, those are global items as well. I've started thinking about the menu system. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an about section, and in that about section I'm going to have about me, contact. I'll put modelling photos. I think that's quite. I get a bit embarrassed saying that, but it's little photos where I'm posing, which I love doing that. So I got thousands of these photos of me posing. So that's going to be in the about section. I think I'm going to put my little transgender diary inside of that as well, and I'm going to do a little FAQ with fun little questions. So whereas in the old website it was about me, that about me page is going to actually turn into a section, and that's going to all be lilac or purple. I've then got the my art section, which I've finished, but again I've got sections I want to add to it, like fan art and stuff like that. But it's very easy now to add new things to these sections because of the way I've created the website. Then I've got articles, which what I'm going to in the articles I'm going to have. It's going to be recommended books, tools, links, resources, podcasts and drawing exercises. Then I'm going to have what have I done here? Oh no, yeah, it's going to have the blog, recommended and all the inspirational stuff underneath the articles. And that's actually going to be multiple colours, that one. I've then got my videos, the newsletter and the podcast. So there's only going to be 2, 4, 6 options in the main menu. And I just feel like everything's going to be very nicely kept together. So I'm quite excited about that. That took me ages as well, because I kept at first I wanted everything on the main menu, but there was too much. Again, it's all about balance. You've got all this content, but you've got to find a way to get all of that content balanced in such a way so that it's not overwhelming. So if somebody comes onto the website and they're only really interested in my art, they go in there and that's all they've got. But they might click on the articles and start going into the other sections. Whereas if they went on and all the sections are on the main menu, they might not even be able to find what they're looking for. So that's cool. There's also a little search option, which wasn't on the old website. So you can now search for things. And I'm also using a tag system, so it's going to be really cool in the end, because what you can do now is you can tag things. So if I do a drawing of an animal, and then let's say one of my inspirational artists has got loads of paintings of animals, and let's say I take some photos with animals, I can tag that with animals, and all of that's going to go together. So it's going to be really cool, because it's going to be like, it's going to be really cool. Yeah, I can see this in my head, which is I love that feeling. I love it when what I feel like is making a website is very much like making a painting or something. You can see it in your head. You then try to bring it to life. You keep making mistakes because you're trying to put on the canvas something that's in your head, and maybe you're not quite skillful enough to do it, but you keep trying, and in the end, what happens is what you've got on your canvas looks like what you've got in your head. Yeah, so that's quite exciting. And that's basically it, really. So I'm not going to go through my notes because there's just way too many of them, and my notes got so crazy this past week. It got absolutely chaotic. I was just scribbling things down because I had so many ideas coming in, and as I was trying out these new objects and stuff, it was making me think, I can do that over here. So then I was thinking, so I was trying to do something, but I was also thinking about how I could do it with something else. So I had to just empty my brain onto the paper so that I can get things done. And what I also was doing was I was designing each little page I was designing each little page. So I was right on the piece of paper, I was trying to empty the image in my head onto the piece of paper, and then go onto the computer and try to recreate what was on the paper. And this is when you have to start trying to find what was going to be the right thing for the right job. So it's been a really crazy week. Yeah, it has been a crazy week, but it's also been probably the most important week, I think, because I'm so glad that I found out about all these little global objects before next week. Because if I had started, just imagine if I got to the end of, there's about 500 pages on my website, I think. Imagine if I got right to the very end, created all the pages, and then realised that I could have done it with these global objects. Oh, that would have been quite sad, I think. So I don't know what made me watch that video, but something did. Unfortunately, it allowed me to get in these little global objects. So I feel like this week was probably the most important week, I think. And also, I did go out with my mum again on Wednesday. We went down to a little lake, which was really nice. I tried to put a little video of the animals and stuff at the start of this. If you watch this podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/Sophie Lawson, you might be able to see some of the little animals and stuff, because it was really cool down there. And I think, again, balance. You need to get, if you're spending all your time on the computer, I feel like you need to have a little bit of balance of nature and getting outside and stuff. So it's quite cool. This week's little inspirational quote, I love this one. It comes from somebody called Lauren Mosenthal. It's Lauren Mosenthal, LaurenMosenthal. And this, I feel like this quote, it's basically sums up the past 3 weeks of creating this website. So the little inspirational quote is, life is a series of building, testing, changing and iterating. I feel like that is a perfect quote for website development. It is all about, this is weird. It's almost like life is a very creative process, just like painting and drawing, and it's exactly the same as making these websites. So life is a series of building, testing, changing and iterating. That goes to Lauren Mosenthal. World's longest flirt.